Welcome to my channel. Subscribe, listen, and enjoy my stories every day. The first cold breeze of October sweeps through the bustling hospital corridors, ushering in a silence that feels heavier than usual. I'm holding my daughter, Emma's hand, tighter than I realize. She's only 5, her curious eyes scanning the colorful posters on the walls, oblivious to the weight of the day. "Daddy, why are we here again?" Emma's voice is a soft whisper against the sterile chill of the hospital. I kneel to meet her gaze, forcing a smile. "Mommy's been feeling a bit under the weather, pumpkin. We're just here to pick up some test results so the doctor can make her feel better." My reassurance seems to work as Emma nods, accepting the answer without further questions. We walk to the reception, where the nurse, a middle-aged woman with kind eyes, hands me an envelope. "Mr. Thompson, here are the results for Mrs. Thompson. Dr. Lewis will see you now to discuss them." Thanking her, I scoop up Emma and head to Dr. Lewis's office. His room is a small cave of privacy in the otherwise open environment. The doctor, a balding man with a gentle demeanor, motions us to sit. "Mr. Thompson, I've reviewed your wife's tests, and there's something we need to discuss about her blood work." His voice trails off as he shifts through the papers. I nod, urging him to continue, while my heart starts pounding louder with each second. Dr. Lewis looks at me, then at Emma, who is drawing on a piece of scrap paper. "It's probably nothing to worry about immediately, but there's a discrepancy in the blood types. Your wife has type O, and so do you, but Emma here." He pauses, choosing his words carefully. "Emma's tests show she has type AB blood." The room spins slightly as his words sink in. "Type AB? How is that possible?" "Dr. Lewis, there must be some mistake. My wife and I are both type O. It's genetically impossible for Emma to be AB. If that's the case," I respond, my voice barely a whisper. The doctor nods sympathetically. "I understand your concern, Mr. Thompson. It's highly unusual. I would recommend a paternity test to clarify this anomaly. It's the best course of action to take from here." My mind races as I thank Dr. Lewis and leave his office with Emma. The normalcy of our life feels like a fragile shell, now cracked irreparably. The walk back to the car is the longest I've ever endured. Emma chatters about the stickers she got from the nurse, but her voice sounds distant, muffled by the storm of thoughts crashing through my mind. Could there have been a mistake? Is it possible that my wife? No, it can't be. But the blood types don't lie. As we drive home, the image of our happy, simple life starts to crumble. Emma falls asleep in the back seat, clutching her new stickers, while I grip the steering wheel, my knuckles white. I'm not just driving away from the hospital, I feel like I'm driving away from the life I once knew. The truth waits at home. I need answers, and I need them now. As we pull into the driveway, my resolve hardens. I will confront her. I need to hear her explain this impossibility. The house looms before me, a facade of normalcy that now seems as deceptive as the lie my life might be built on. As I unbuckle Emma and carry her inside, hoping she continues sleeping, my heart pounds with the dread of what I might find. Little do I know, the revelations of today are just the beginning of a journey that will unravel everything I have ever known. The front door creaks as I push it open, Emma cradled against my chest, her breaths a gentle rhythm against the silent tension that builds with each step inside. I lay her down on the sofa, covering her with a light blanket. Her peaceful slumber starkly contrasts the turmoil brewing within me. With a steadied breath, I ascend the stairs to our bedroom. The sound of laughter trickles down the hallway, a sound painfully out of place. My heart beats a fierce, erratic drum as I reach the door, slightly ajar. The voices are clearer now, unmistakably my wife's and a man's, deep and unfamiliar. Pushing the door with a trembling hand, the scene before me stuns into a cold, rigid fury. Julia, my wife of 10 years, and a man, shirtless, his back to me, paused in laughter, sitting too close on the edge of our bed. Her quick gasp as the door swings open tells me she's as shocked to see me as I am to see them. David. It's not, Julia stammers, her face flushing a deep red as she scrambles to her feet, clutching her robe to her chest. The man turns, a flash of annoyance crossing his features before he smooths it into a smirk. You must be David, he says, extending a hand I have no intention of shaking. Who the hell are you? My voice booms, louder than I intend, the anger seething from every syllable. This is Mark, Julia interjects quickly, an old friend from college. We were just catching up. Catching up? In our bedroom? With that? The thought makes my blood boil, but I hold my ground, keeping my voice icy. I think it's time for Mark to leave, Julia. Mark raises an eyebrow, looking between us, the smirk still playing on his lips. He stands, picking up his shirt from the chair. Sure thing, buddy. We'll catch up some other time, Jules. As he brushes past me, his shoulder bumps into mine, a subtle challenge that I'm too shaken to answer right now. The moment the front door clicks shut behind him, I whirl on Julia. How long has this been going on? I demand, trying to keep my voice steady for Emma's sake, though she's a floor below us. Julia's eyes widen, her hands wringing the fabric of her robe. David, please, let me explain. No, Julia. No more lies. First, the blood type, now this. What am I supposed to think? My voice cracks, the betrayal slicing through my composure. Her face crumples, tears welling up. The blood type. What are you talking about? I recount the morning's revelation from Dr. Lewis, watching as her face shifts from confusion to horror. I didn't know. David, I swear, I thought. You thought what? That you wouldn't get caught. The room feels smaller, the walls inching closer as the air thickens with unsaid words. No. It's not like that. Emma is your daughter, she has to be. Her plea breaks, a desperate edge to her voice. We're doing a paternity test, I state flatly. I have to know, Julia. And until then, I think it's best if you stay with your mother. Her protest is immediate, her tears overflowing. You can't mean that, David, please. But I can't trust my own judgment right now, let alone her pleas. Pack your bags, Julia. I'll take care of Emma. She sobs, nodding weakly before retreating to gather a few belongings. As she leaves the room, the weight of the world seems to collapse onto my shoulders. I sink to the floor, the fabric of the carpet rough under my palms. The house is quieter now, the echo of our life before this morning mocking me with its memory. Emma's laughter, Julia's smile, all of it tainted now by the harsh light of betrayal and secrets. As the door closes softly behind Julia, a part of me wonders if things will ever be the same again. As the door clicks shut behind Julia, a suffocating silence engulfs the house. Emma stirs on the couch, her small face frowning slightly in sleep as if she can sense the tension. I sit beside her, watching her breathe, the reality of my crumbling world anchored by her innocent presence. The next morning dawns gray and heavy, a fitting backdrop for the cold emptiness echoing through the now half-empty house. After dropping Emma at preschool, a task Julia usually handles, I drive to the office of the family lawyer I had hastily contacted the previous evening. The meeting is brief and to the point. Mr. Thompson, understanding the situation, I advise you to proceed with the paternity test as soon as possible. It'll give us a clearer picture of the next legal steps, the lawyer, Mr. Becker, a stern-faced man with sharp eyes, advises. Thank you, Mr. Becker. I'll arrange for the test today, I reply, my voice hollow. Back in the car, the drive to the clinic is automatic, my thoughts a whirlwind of betrayal, fear, and anger. At the clinic, I explain the situation to a sympathetic nurse who sets up an appointment for Emma and me. The test is scheduled for tomorrow morning. Returning home feels more like entering a foreign land. The silence is oppressive, the rooms filled with shadows of a happier past. Emma returns from preschool, her bright chatter a stark contrast to the gloom that has settled over me. I fix her dinner, bathe her, and tuck her into bed with a story, each action mechanically done as my mind races ahead to tomorrow. The night stretches on, sleep elusive. When dawn finally breaks, I feel like I haven't slept at all. I dress Emma and myself quietly. She senses the seriousness of the situation, her usual bubbly demeanor subdued. At the clinic, the procedure is quick. Emma is brave, not crying even when the needle pricks her small arm. "Is Mommy sick because she misses us?" she asks, her large eyes searching mine for answers I'm not ready to give. I squeeze her hand, forcing a smile. "Mommy's going to be fine, sweetheart. We just need to make sure everything is okay with us too." The drive back home is quiet. Emma falls asleep, her head leaning against the window, the early morning exertion taking its toll. As I carry her inside and lay her down on her bed, my phone buzzes. It's a text from Julia. "Please, David, we need to talk. I can explain everything. It's not what you think." I stare at the message, anger and confusion warring within me. I type a response, my fingers trembling slightly. "We'll talk after the results come back." As I set the phone down, the doorbell rings. I open the door to find Mark standing there, his expression one of faux concern. "Hey, David. I heard about the trouble. Just wanted to check if everything's all right." His audacity to show up here, after everything, fuels a fresh surge of anger. "Now's not a good time, Mark. I think you should leave." Mark's eyes harden, his stance shifting slightly. "I just want to make sure Julia's okay, man. She's been through a lot." I step closer, my voice low and menacing. "You have no idea what she's been through or what she's done. I suggest you leave before this gets ugly." He holds my gaze for a moment longer, then backs away, hands raised in mock surrender. "All right, man. Just trying to be a friend." As he disappears down the path, I close the door, leaning against it. The waiting game for the test results begins, a torturous stretch of time where every second feels like an eternity, filled with the echoes of a life that might soon change forever. The days crawl by in agonizing slowness, each hour punctuated by alternating waves of dread and anger. When the call finally comes from the clinic, my heart stops. "Mr. Thompson, your results are in. You can come by any time today to discuss them." The nurse's voice is neutral, betraying nothing of the results. I drop Emma off at my sister's house, promising a quick return, and drive to the clinic. The corridors seem longer than I remember, each step echoing my pounding heart. In the consultation room, Dr. Henderson, a different doctor from before, sits with the envelope in front of him. "Mr. Thompson, thank you for coming in. Let's discuss the results." He breaks the seal, pulling out the documents, and without any preliminaries, he lays them in front of me. "The paternity test results confirm that you are not Emma's biological father." The room spins, a mix of relief and profound devastation washing over me. Relief, because my doubts had not been unfounded; devastation, because the life I knew was truly over. "I don't understand." My voice is barely a whisper, grappling with the betrayal. "How could this happen?" Dr. Henderson offers a sympathetic look. "These situations are always complex and painful. If there's anything else we can do to assist." But I'm barely listening. I stand abruptly, the need to confront Julia overwhelming everything else. I drive to her mother's house where she's been staying. Julia answers the door, her face pale, eyes red-rimmed. Seeing her, the anger rears, but so does an inexplicable sorrow, for us, for Emma. David, I. Save it, I cut her off, holding up the test results. You owe me the truth. Now. She steps back, nodding slowly, leading me into the living room. We sit, the air thick with unsaid words. David, it was before we were married. I was young, foolish, Julia's voice shakes. It was a one-time mistake. I never saw him again. When I found out I was pregnant, I thought. I hoped Emma was yours. And you never thought to tell me. My voice is low, dangerously calm. I wanted to, so many times, she whispers, tears streaming down her face. But I was scared. I loved you, I still love you, and I didn't want to lose you. The silence that follows is suffocating. My mind races, trying to process the years of lies built around a moment of truth. But another thought nags at me, something about the timing, the pieces not quite fitting. Who is he, Julia? Who is Emma's father? Julia hesitates, then murmurs a name. A name I recognize. Mark. The realization hits like a punch to the gut. Mark, her college friend, the man in our house. It makes a cruel sense now. Rage builds, but so does an overwhelming sense of finality. I need time, I manage to say through clenched teeth. To think. To decide what comes next. As I stand to leave, my phone buzzes. It's a message from my sister, a video of Emma, laughing as she plays in the garden, her joy untouched by the adult complexities surrounding her. Watching her, a profound sense of clarity washes over me. Emma, regardless of DNA, is my daughter. The bond we've built over 5 years isn't based on genetics, but on love, on the countless days and nights of being her father. I turn back to Julia, the anger subsiding, replaced by a tired resolve. We will need to talk about how we handle this with Emma. And we need to figure out what we are to each other now. But right now, I need to be with my daughter. Julia nods, her face crumpling as I walk away. The drive back to my sister's house is a blur, my mind busy with the beginnings of a plan to rebuild, to redefine what family means for Emma and for me. As I pull into the driveway, Emma runs up, her face lighting up in a bright, carefree smile. Daddy. I scoop her into my arms, her laughter ringing clear and true. In that moment, I realize that no test result could define what she means to me. She is my world, and no matter what, I will protect, love, and guide her, as any father would.